Hello, welcome back to another Britain's Hidden History, and thank you for the overwhelming support for my comments about this book. I can see a lot of people are concerned, particularly parents. They want to know where can they go for some history. It's not easy. I've got 3 sons myself in school, supposedly the target age for this. They're all 3 are between 9 and 15. Not sure if it's for 9 to 11-year-olds or 11 to 15-year-olds, depends where you read. Either way, it's deadly dull, dry, and humorless. And it just doesn't really have any content. It's just vagaries. And I'll give one example here, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. This is called The Red Lady of Paviland. Hopefully you can see that on the screen okay. And this is really, really significant find. These bones are very ancient. So first sort of ceremonial burial in the whole of Europe. But if you look at the text, I hope you can see it, there's no actual mention of what it's about. I'm cherry-picked this. I've gone through all the pages. There's no mention of the story behind it, what it is, why that skeleton's being shown, why the cave's being shown. Nothing. It's weird. And what worries me is, if you look at the introduction, it seems to be very... a bitter person has written this, I'm afraid. I'm going to read the last few paragraphs of the introduction from the author to give you an idea. And we must remember too that all history is written by people who have learnt how to write and have got the time to sit down to put pen to paper. For centuries and centuries, many more boys than girls learned to read, write and count. So it was men who wrote history, and unfortunately they preferred to write the history of men too. Although very many countries have a long, rich history, if it wasn't written down, almost all of it will have been lost. We have to try to find it by looking for the things we can see in those countries. The things people have made, artifacts like pots, pictures, jewellery and statues. This all means that history has been written by men, and most of these men had white skins and lived in Europe. They wrote about men like themselves too. We have to remember this all the time when we are trying to find out about the past. Ellen Jones, summer 2021, a few months ago. So that's the viewpoint. Okay, so this is a child-friendly book, all right? Bizarre. So... anyway, so what I'm doing now, I had a few requests. There's where can they look? People say, where can we go for this? Well, there doesn't seem to be anywhere. So what I've taken upon it myself to do, and I'll be doing this series as quickly as I can get them out, because I'm writing them up. Because I thought if I do all these, I can publish this as a little history book, which I'm sure adults will enjoy, and it'll be child-friendly. So what frustrates me most about this book is the lack of enthusiasm for anything. This does not question. It does not encourage. For a teacher in a classroom, I don't know how you're meant to start a class with anything in here. There's nothing to promote discussion, or there's no points made. There's nothing. It's just a kind of moan. So, right, okay, money where your mouth is, Ross. Okay, so I'm going to start putting this series together. It's going to change. I basically just wrote this down as a mental download. I've just gone off the top of my head. This is so there's bound to be some gaps and things need changing. To give you an idea, so there's the Red Lady of Paviland. Oh yes, so what I'm going to do before you jump away, so I'm going to put these up as videos on each one. I'll read the bit I've written and put up some accompanying pictures and video. So your children who are probably getting bored and playing video games in this rainy, horrible weather, or maybe somewhere else in the world. Short lessons that were child-friendly. No swearing, nothing like that. And keep them friendly, okay? So we've got the Red Lady of Paviland, 1600 migration. It's controversial, but hey, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. People should be aware of what's going on in history, what the discussion points are. So you can have a read through here. There's loads and loads and loads. Loads of ancient stuff, like zodiacs, different books, the invention of the idea that we're Celts, and then ancient history, Malmudian laws, ancient road building. You know, this is all British stuff, right? This is all British history. It's not just Welsh. Most of this is British. So you got Caerleon, London, with King Lud, King Bran, and you know where the White Tower of London is. There's loads of stuff, but a little bit about bardism, Essenes, Christianity, early churches. None of this is in this book, by the way. I think I've done 137 points, and I think there's about 7 of them here. Which in itself says something, eh? Then we've got the stories about the British kings and emperors. Then the golden era of Wales. Where's that? Not mentioned at all. Not a breath about it. I suppose it's white men, you see, this is the problem. But there are women as well. I've got no problem with women in history or writing history. I'm not sexist, she obviously is. So, for example, there's lots of stories in here. We'll see there's a few in here already. And then you got the British invasion of Brittany, all this kind of stuff. Right, the great British kings, Taithfelt, Tudrig, Myrig. I mean, these are well recorded, okay? You got Tintern Abbey, places like that, where you can see where they're buried in Lambda Cathedral. You got Brunach. I was going to do just one I could add in, actually, is about Merthyr Tydfil, the martyr. So that's another story about a woman I can go in. It's not about that. It's about the stories. Whether we like it or not, I mean, the people making the decisions and running the armies in the country tended to be men. I mean, you know, I don't see why it's not inspirational, though. There's loads and loads and loads of women on my history group, and they don't seem just as interested to learn about these things, you know. Anyway, I think this is dreadfully patronising that girls will only get inspired if they see girls on the pages. Doesn't make any sense to me. But there you go, that's the world we're living in. Alright, so also things about King Arthur, the claims of a migration to America, and I won't do it in a dogmatic style. You'll be kind of, you know, maybe this happened, here's the evidence. What do you think? That's the kind of Socratic teaching method, asking questions, getting children to think, same with adults, alright? We all like this kind of thing. Then the great Welsh saints, which again aren't mentioned, places like Llanilltyd Fawr, you know, Llantydd Major, Illtyd, early colleges and monasteries, people coming from around the world, the missionaries going out, you know, like Gavin up to Glasgow and Patrick over to Ireland. This is so much history. I mean, I started writing it down. I'll be up all night because there's so many things to mention. I couldn't get it all done. Then the arrival of the Normans. I want to talk about Fortress Glamorgan. The castles were already there beforehand. How Gwent and Glamorgan was guarded. I want more Mid Wales and North Wales stories. Also, I'm putting some fun stories in there, like Beirdd Gelert, the grave of Gelert. You know, he stabs his sword through his own dog and regrets it afterwards. Then stories a bit later on about things like Mary Jones and her Bible, walking to Bala. There's great stories. And I think overall I get the impression that this Ellen and a lot of historians, we're bored of those old stories. We've had them all our life. You know, she's been 50-odd years in education, wants something different. Well, the children haven't heard the stories, all right? They're not bored of them because they've never heard them. These have been passed on through the generations, hundreds of years, and it's our job to pass them on now, okay? Just because you're bored and bitter and twisted, don't want to hear them again, and you'd rather spend a quarter of this book about social justice issues, doesn't mean say the children, and indeed us. A lot of us don't know these stories either, okay? So here we are, stop ranting. Ross writes the medieval. I mean, did you know, for example, that Magna Carta was probably drafted in Glamorgan, and that King John was married to Joanne, who was Welsh. He was forced to divorce her, marry the French princess, and then Joanne is from the family of Llywelyn in North Wales, and this is the reason why you can have the royal links for the throne. It's really important. This is how the British royal family tries to create a lineage. It goes back to this situation. None of this, of course. And Joanne is a woman. In case you hadn't worked it out from the name, okay? So that's we got the link with the great royal houses of North Wales. Then we got Edward I, the first Prince of Wales. How can none of this be in a book about history? I don't understand. Then you got the invention of the longbow, Welsh archers, Crechi, Agincourt. Then you got the old Welsh poets. And then we got like, the gogs are in here. Owain Glyndŵr, Llywelyn Fawr. The interesting thing that Braveheart William Wallace claims his descent through the Welsh. The Scots don't like that one, but there you go. Industrial Revolution, you know, the Welsh Revival, the canals, the locks, all these things developed in Wales, the longest run of locks in the world. You've got the longest bridge in the world at Pontypridd, that's still there. Then we've got the treachery of the Blue Books, how the education was slaughtered, the Welsh people. The Great Little Trains of Wales, they're fantastic. Up around the slate quarries. It's so much. The Chartists, the uprising, some of that is in here because it's social change and they quite like that. Although it doesn't mention in the book 20-odd protesters were shot. There's another thing that annoys me, okay? In there, everything's referred to as riots, riots, riots. They're not riots, they are uprisings, okay? Right, okay, so they are a story of Mary Jones and her Bible, which you don't know, it's a wonderful story. Then we got the religious revival, start of Quakers, Methodists, nonconformist movement, great church leaders going around the world. Stories like The King and I, another one. I think her name was Anne as well. I'll check the details on this one. You know the film King and I with Yul Brynner originally? Well, the teacher went across from mid-Wales somewhere, and she tried to give some modern ideas to Siam, or Thailand as it is now. Another great story about a great Welsh woman doing great things. Why aren't they mentioned? Iolo Morgannwg, Unitarianism. A lot of people aren't aware of these things. So just run these off the top of my head, okay? I haven't got them from a book, particularly. Certainly I haven't got them from this book because they're not in there. Then all things about poverty and despair in the 1930s. The riots of 1919. How many people know about those riots? Not many. Then the Welsh going off to fight in the Spanish Civil War. The experiences of American soldiers in South Wales, where they were billeted before D-Day, bombing of Cardiff and Swansea, evacuees. My mother was an evacuee. She's from Kent, all right? Confession time. I don't mention this very often. My mother's actually from England. Ah, terrible, isn't it? Mind you, her mother was Welsh and Welsh-speaking. She had to go to London to work in service, as they called it in those days. It's kind of like a bonded, indentured servant. Can't mention the S word, but it's very similar. You get board and lodge, and you cook the meals and clean the house, and that's how you survive, all right? So that's her background. Destruction of Tiger Bay, Cardiff communities. Then go to the modern Welsh culture then. Things like Pendine Sands having the world land speed records where the cars would race, and you could race till recently before the health and safety police jumped in, of course. I mean, driving fast on sand. It's one of the safer surfaces you would think, but there you go. I want to talk about the football, the fact you had like John Charles back in the day, Ryan Giggs, Gareth Bale, most valuable player in the world a few years ago. Gareth Edwards, world's greatest rugby player. Neil Jenkins, world record point scorer at his time. Then the rugby. Did Wales invent rugby? The golden eras. Tiny country. It's one of the main strength powers in the world, so something to be proud of. Boxing, the hungry fighters of Wales, back to 1930s boxers. Tommy Farr fought Joe Lewis, Howard Winston, win the Commonwealth Games. Great entertainers. Formation of Cardiff, how it became capital. Famous Welsh academics. Links with Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. There's so much! It's like, this would take a year, I reckon. We're up to 138 of them. And then the modern stuff. Then some of the stuff this is the only things in here, really, about Treverin, but also what's going on now with the wind farms doing the same thing again. Our countryside's being used to export energy that we'll never get paid for. So you've got coals, metals, the miners' strikes of the 1980s. I also mentioned 1930s poverty and desperation. Aberfan, threat to Welsh farming, because basically on a Welsh hill all you can grow is sheep, really. And then if meat's banned, then what are they going to grow? All this kind of stuff. Wales Vision 2040. And then the final thing, will Welsh history save Wales? So there you go. So I'm going to try and get... I did like 5 last night, and I'll put a couple up. But I just say, these will be done, not patronising. My view is that children are young. They're not stupid, all right? They're just young. And they don't know enough yet because they're in the process of learning. We should all be learning our whole lives. My phrase I want to have a t-shirt is always be learning, the ABL. Always be learning, all right? So there you go. I look forward to your comments on that. And please add in some things that I might have missed. There's bound to be loads. And let me know what you think of this as a project. And why not? Publish it as a book. Pictures, everything. Right. Okay, so there we go. Enough from me. I look forward to hearing what you have to think. Until the next time, Heddwch.